Welcome to the Hockey Writers Ink, the show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. Relax, the keyboard is off and the press box is closed, but the mic is just getting warmed up. Join your host, Lance Green, the guardian of the blue paint turned writer, and your co-host, Ron, SteelFlyers, as we bring you all the latest on the Philadelphia Flyers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of the Hockey Writers Ink with your host, Lance Green.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to Hockey Writers Ink, a Flyers-based podcast. Uh, good
Well,
news is that the Flyers may be done for the season, but what we're going to talk about today is the Phantoms, which are in the playoffs still, right, Steel?
yeah,
Which we
man.
all know because we got to cover the closing game of the
First round.
Penguins first round against them, and we were able to stomp them into the ground and move on. Right?
Yeah,
Excited,
man.
exciting. Yeah,
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It was a great game. It was great being there to cover the game, which is why we're going to do this here because we started doing a Phantom section here within the Hockey Writers Inc. show because we do, the Flyers and because it's the farm team for the Flyers. So we figured, hey, let's just. So that's why we're gonna talk about the Phantoms here in this one here, folks. So by the way, if you like what we do, please hit the like and subscribe. We'd really, really appreciate that. Hop on over to steelflyers.com/links/ Hockey Writers Inc. show. And you can check out all the latest articles from the great editor in chief, Mr. Lance Green, which, by the way, just posted out an article here not too long ago, and fresh off the presses, got to hop on over to steelflyers.com to check out Lance's latest article for sure. Also, big props and thanks to lowercaseblues.net. Thank you guys so very much for the great music. By the way, you got to hop on over to lowercaseblues.net, check out their website, check out where they're going to be playing, check out their swag, check out some videos, and check out the new album. Man, I got to tell you what, folks, you got to be checking these guys out for sure, for sure. If you like the music that you're listening to at the beginning of this show, then you are going to love these guys live, man. Go check out lowercaseblues.net and check them guys out.
for
All
sure,
right.
for sure.
Yeah, man. All right, Lance, here we go. We're going to talk about the Lehigh Valley Phantoms moving on. This is a special edition here of Hockey Writers Inc. They're moving on to the second round against the Hershey Bears. That's right. And man, I'll tell you what, that was probably the last team that they probably wanted to
Mm.
play. Just based off of how Hershey has been the last 2 years in a row now, where they've won the Calder Cup twice in a row now, and they're in position now to try to, do it for a third time. And I got to tell you something. It doesn't seem quite the same team in Hershey this year as it has been the last 2 years. I mean, they got their leading scorer, Ivan, who has just been on fire this year. But, man, I got to tell you, Lance, with what we've seen, the influx of the prospects coming to the Phantoms. I don't know, buddy. I think I don't know. I think Phantoms got a shot, man. What do you think?
Well, it's definitely going to be an interesting series for sure. Hershey, like you said, is the back-to-back champions here that we're taking on. They've had another strong season, but you're right. I don't think that they are as strong as they were the past two seasons. A couple of those guys, it's the AHL. A couple of those guys have been called up to the big club and are helping the Capitals now. So kudos to them, but. They do have an amazing coach still. Let's say, Todd Nelson. He's a guy who I would really like to see be the head coach of the Flyers after this season. Maybe if the Phantoms do their job and knock them out fairly quickly, they'll have a new head coach soon enough. Fingers crossed.
I
But
mean, you know.
you know, that's wishful thinking at this point. But
Right.
for sure, you know, the Phantoms came in. They changed a lot over the last month, let's say. They have the core group of guys that got them to this point and making the playoffs, but now you're seeing guys like Jet Lachenko come in from juniors. You see Alex Bump coming in from Western Michigan when his season ended. So you're seeing a big influx of guys that weren't here to begin with at the start of the season and are now coming in, and Jet Lachenko is tied for the playoff lead in points right now with 4, with all 4 being assists. And as me and Steele saw during that last game versus the Penguins, man, he's makes some heck of passes out of there. Two amazing passes for some beautiful assists, and he's playing up on his skates. He's playing an up-tempo game like he normally does, but like he did in junior steel, he's getting into a little penalty trouble. He has 8 penalty minutes in this series, and I think against Hershey, it's really going to cost the team if he continues to do that. So he needs to kind of find that balance. And that's part of becoming a professional. I think his skill has got him to this point, but now he needs to hone that skill a little bit more and learn
Yeah,
to when to turn it down a bit
I agree.
and not go 100 miles an hour all the time
Yeah.
and be a little bit wild with your elbows or making some unclean checks or tripping a guy or something like that. That's part of making it to that next level, and obviously he has the offensive capabilities to be there, as does Alex Bump with in his first game with Lehigh, he scored 2 goals versus the Penguins here. So, you know, not a whole lot from him that second game, but definitely put some shots on net. I could definitely see him out on the ice. He was,
Yeah, they were trying to rub
noticeable.
him out.
Yeah, he was so effective in the first game that they were definitely posting a couple of people on him at all times, rightfully so, as with how well he did in that first game. I don't think anybody really expected that out of him, especially the
I agree.
Penguins. So
Yeah. And it's funny because in the press conference with Coach Lappy, he even because you know the questions were asked. What did you think about Jet Lachenko? And he said, well, speed is not just part of his game. There's other parts of his game. And then he also did agree that, hey, he needs to, tone down the penalties, but he's bringing something a little different to the table here, I think, than what this team has had all year. And that's one of the things that I think that um, Coach Leperriere pointed out in the press conference, that he is that kind of a player, but yet he's still so very young
yeah.
and
You
still
forget that
learning.
with how well he plays offensively, and just the hockey mindset and the vision that's there to be able to make some of the passes that he makes. It's really special to see those qualities, but at times he does look like a rookie out there, as well as it's growing
Yeah,
pains for sure. But
yeah,
in addition to what Lappy said, also Anthony Richard said that he enjoyed playing with him,
yeah,
because
because they're on
he's
the same
he's
line.
because he's able to keep up with Richard. Richard is so fast to begin with,
I know.
and he's usually in the zone and then having to wait around for everybody else to on his team
Catch
to
up.
get into the zone, catch up, right? So Lachenko is playing that up tempo and that speed style of game, and it's bringing a different look to the Phantoms than they've had all year long, because they haven't had that speed with multiple players and able to do that. So, and especially just Lachenko's ability to make those passes, some of those elite passes that the guys at the AHL level aren't making. you
I
know.
I agree. I agree with you 100%. And what was also really nice too was seeing Richard kind of just continue to build off of the season that he had this year for the regular season. He just carried that right over into the playoffs. And what a treat and joy it was to see Helgi Grans with the game winner. You know what I mean? Like that was just like, all right, okay. And this was somebody that we had talked about that we thought would make the Flyers, could potentially make the Flyers, but maybe him getting this experience now with the Phantoms, and that's the same with Bump. It's the same with Lachenko, right? It's the same with Kaplan, right? It's the same with Koswar. It's the same with all these guys. All these young guys are getting this experience now, especially in a playoff atmosphere. Because let's face it,
Mhm.
it was playoff atmosphere at PPL Center. You, okay, right? I don't care what anybody says. That place was rocking. Okay, and you need to stay out of the box. Although Hershey doesn't have that, like last year and the year before, their power play was much better. Their power play, middle of the road.
Yeah. Yeah, you still got to watch out for
It's
Ivan, but there's definitely less threats on that Hershey's power play. But I mean, as much as that might have scared us in the past, I think a lot of kudos goes out to Parker in net as
oh my
well.
gosh.
Stood on his head. The Phantoms came out in that last game and were on fire, just putting shots on net in that first half, that first period, and
Mm-hmm.
then they kind of stepped away from that, and in
And
the
it
tide,
tilted the
yeah,
other
yeah,
way. Yeah.
it shifted, and Parker was able to keep him in the game, and thankfully, he was
Yeah.
strong in
Right.
net,
He
and
Well, he had some glove
yeah,
larceny. Holy
yes.
moly! Look,
Yeah,
Lant,
that thing was definitely working that night for sure. I think
Lant.
I counted at least 8 like amazing glove saves that he made in that game.
Okay, okay. I wanted to at least mention that because that one that he made, where
Mm,
when he I think it was he either made the save and the puck flew back up into the air and he re-caught it, or the puck had deflected and was going up in the air and he just put his arm up there and just snagged it out of the air, and I was like, well, alrighty then. So I mean, when you get this goaltender all excited, like that's a good save. All right, okay, I'm just letting y'all know. Okay, so
yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, guys, the Flyers. Let's face it, the Flyers have missed the playoffs for 5 seasons in a row. If you guys want to take the drive up, I would suggest it to get to Lehigh this next round against Hershey, a rival team.
oh, big
It's
time.
it's always a good game between these guys. Amazing atmosphere there, even for a regular season game. But like Steele said, it's going to be a playoff series. The crowd is going to be into it. It's an amazing rink. Parking's great attached to the building. I can't say enough about the Phantoms and how well oiled machine that is up there. It is just a fun family atmosphere
It
up
is.
at that game. You know what
It
I mean?
is exactly, and there's not a bad seat in the house.
Absolutely not.
There really isn't. You know what I mean? No matter where you're sitting, from right there on ice level, or even way back up in the quote unquote nosebleeds. You know what I mean? There is not a bad seat in the house, and I got to tell you, it was an honor and a privilege to be able to cover the Phantoms game, and we will probably be at another one. We were able to get
Yeah.
all Phantoms home games, and with this second round is the best of five, so that will mean at least two home games for the Phantoms this round against Hershey, and then there'll be two games um, in Hershey, and then the final game will be in Hershey since Hershey's the higher seed. and I'm trying to get to Hershey. Okay, I'm trying to get credentials to Hershey, to be there to cover the Phantoms with the camera. By the way, I'll be scrolling a bunch of pictures that I took at the game here against the Penguins for the second round here. I'll just be scrolling the pictures throughout this entire show, but I'm really excited about this. It wasn't quite the team that we thought they were going to, because it was either Charlotte or Hershey there for a little minute. But then it turned out to be Hershey. And I think this is a good litmus test, not just for the guys on the team, but I think for the coaching staff, for Ian LePerriere, for Jason Smith, for the entire coaching staff, the training staff, and how this whole year came to be. I think this is a great litmus test. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so, man. Like I said, Hershey's coach, Nelson is a
Nelson, yeah.
phenomenal coach, and
Covet
you know,
this man. We covet this
he's
man.
he is going to be, coming up as soon as their season is over, whenever that might be. He's going to be coming up in some NHL conversations for coaching jobs, and it's going to be a true test for
Yeah.
Lappy and the boys to be able to meet his level of coaching, because I mean I think he already has three championship AHL championships under his belt, and this could be a fourth this season. Hopefully not with the Phantoms, taking it to him. Hopefully
Right,
with
right,
the
right.
with these newfound rookies coming on late in the season here as their seasons got done. Hopefully that makes the difference and is able to push them past it, because I just want to see the guys, if nothing else, get as many games in as for experience as they
Yeah,
can.
yeah.
All these guys, Helgi, especially too,
All
the
of them.
guys that been here all season, Emil Andre, yes, get them as
They
much
all played
playoff
well.
experience as they can. Yep.
Exactly.
Because these guys are all going to be out trying to make the Flyers this summer. So, any bit of experience that they can get is going to be good. It's going to be a great series coming up. I can't wait to try to take in another game for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Also, big thanks to Mr. Bob Roadtruck and Connor Lawrence, and the Lehigh Valley Phantoms for allowing us media access and credentials to the home games for the Phantoms down there at the PPL Center. Thank you so very much. Doesn't even begin to cover um, how excited it is and how thankful we are for what you guys are doing for us, man. We really appreciate that.
Yeah,
Um,
some playoff hockey. That's rare these days, and uh,
I mean,
orange and black. Yeah.
we'll take that all day long. And moving on, taking two games to Wilkes-Barre, which is another rival team, and kicking them in the teeth, right? Okay, and it was a hard-fought game, the second game, because Pittsburgh came out nasty, and they came to play, and there was quite a few penalty minutes here on both sides. Okay, so it's not like Lehigh was lily white, but I guarantee you that you need to stay. And Pittsburgh had a much. I'm sorry, not Pittsburgh. Wilkes-Barre had a much better power play this season than even Hershey and Lehigh put together. So they were able to sustain. You know what I mean? But it got a little hairy there in that second game because you know Wilkes-Barre had a lead there for the first time in the series. But I like where Lehigh is for this series here against Hershey. That starts April 30th at the Giant Center in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And then Saturday is the next, game in Hershey. And then the following Wednesday, then the following Saturday for the home games down at PPL Center. So, got to hop on over to steelflyers.com and check out Lance's latest articles because he talks about a lot of the stuff here, what's going on with the Flyers. And you also got to go check out a couple of the shows that we do over there, like Prospect Watch. We just released Alex Karmanov, the 7 foot Moldavian uh, giant that's playing in Wilkes-Barre for the Knights. Okay, but's committed to go to Penn State for 26-27 season. So go check that out too. Hop on over to the YouTube channel. Check out the SteelFlyers All Sports Network, where you can get all the great shows from Prospect Watch to the Hockey Writers Ink, or to the Nittany Report, or to the SteelFlyers spot podcast as well. So thank you all for everything you guys do. Thank you all for what you do, Lance, and all the great articles you do, man. We're looking forward to more coverage of the Phantom, so be looking for another one of these shows here coming out real soon. We wanted to do a quick little preview of the Hershey Bears versus Lehigh Valley Phantoms for the second round, man. What do you think, Lance?
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I
I know.
think the Phantoms got a good chance here because, Wilkes-Barre was a lot better team offensively, I think,
I
with
agree.
guys like Billy Kuvanen, Gabe Clausen, Avery Hayes is a
Yeah,
monster.
yeah.
They got some guys coming up there, and I really was impressed with Lehigh and how they were able to handle those guys and keep them relatively, quiet. Those big names that Pittsburgh has in their system. So
I think
I'm
it was,
excited.
yeah, I am too. I think it had a lot to do though because Helgi Grans, I think, played an amazing series. I think Emil Andre played an amazing series, and those two guys were pretty much up against the top line against Wilkes-Barre for this whole series. Those guys played really, really well. So, really looking forward to the next round here against Hershey. So be sure to check that out. Thank you all for tuning in and watching us, man. If you like what we do, please hit the like and subscribe, man. We really appreciate that. Big props and thanks to Lowercase Blues. Hop on over to lowercaseblues.net and check out their website and all their great stuff, man. Big props and thanks to Jake and the boys, man. Really appreciate the music and all the great support. Thank you all for checking us out, man. This is your co host, Ron Steel Flyers, and this is another episode of the Hockey Writers Ink. And we will catch you all on the next one.